Well, hello guys. You're listening to Beauty Bites with Dr. K, Secrets of a Plastic Surgeon, and we have a delightful episode today and a beautiful guest. This is Francine, the Queen of Threads. And Francine Young, she's an RN, she's an MEP, that's a medical
aesthetic provider.
Certified.
We don't know what we're certified in, but we're certified in something.
You're certified. She's dedicated to health and beauty. She's very artistic. She really specializes in threads, especially PDO threads, but also does Botox fillers, lasers, and the work. She's got 15 years of boss girl experience. And I think she and I share an aesthetic. Like, we love our patients to look, just natural,
Definitely.
but tighter, more contoured, and lifted without looking overly done. She has a bachelor's in biology and then also applied ecology from University of California, Irvine. And she has been an amazing trainer on many different ad boards. So today we're going to dive deep into all about
Super
threads
excited.
and like aesthetic trends, and maybe we should talk a little bit about what we're doing in our own lives,
Yes.
how to be a boss girl, how to keep it balanced.
Definitely.
I think this is going to be amazing for injectors out there. So,
Thank you for having me on.
Queen of Threads, tell us a little bit about the thread world today. What's going on out there?
It's funny you said 15 years, and it's actually been longer than that. But I
Okay, 20, 25.
I cut it off because it makes me sound old.
I know, I can't tell my kids' ages anymore.
No, because you don't look
People
that
do
way.
the mental math. So to be like, they're 7 and 10.
I was promiscuous when I was young. So I had the very young.
I had a wild high school life.
Middle school. I fell in love with threads. I always tell the story that I was at an aesthetic show. That's why it's so important to go to all these trainings, because you learn so much and you get ideas. And I was at an aesthetic show, and I had been practicing injectables for a really long time. I'd worked for many plastic surgeons, so I know the plastic surgery. I know you're a plastic surgeon. I know the plastic surgery world very well, had been in the ER, OR, and all of that. And when I saw threads, I just fell in love. I really fell in love. The idea of being able to suspend the superficial fat pads without surgery, it doesn't last as long as surgery, and we'll kind of get into the thread haters. We'll talk about that, but it was very exciting to me. The ability to do something that maybe injectables like Botox and fillers couldn't do.
I think it's a great tool, like especially for people who are in the dermatology world. If you're a dermatologist or an RN or nurse practitioner, like invasive skills are great. Like, many of our patients need surgery, but on the other hand, many don't want surgery.
Sure.
And then, of course, this broadens your armamentarium of what you can do non-invasive or minimally invasive.
1000%.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I fell in love and just really started to hone in my craft. I've taken probably over 1,000 courses with also, like, not just locally, but also out of the country. In Korea, which that's where the thread world really kind of shines.
So everyone's dying to know, like, what's your favorite thread? And without being industry favorites, or like maybe first say your disclosures, so that makes it very transparent.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a KOL for Nova Threads. And the beautiful thing, I worked with them in actually, Dr. Creamy and I, myself, who's also a plastic surgeon as well, worked on making a thread that works for our techniques. And so it's called the Beyond thread, and that's my favorite thread.
What do you like about it?
I really designed it for grip. I designed it the way, when you look at the thread, it's barbed throughout the girth of the thread, and it's a very thick thread, so you'll get a lot of holding. And if you're doing reverse vectors, traditional and reverse vectors, it works both ways. So if you're anchoring the DTF, you're doing traditional vectors, you're going to get the full length of the thread. There's no thread wastes. When you look at some of it, because I've tried all the different threads on the market, and when you look at all the different threads, there's a lot of times there's a space in between, because the idea is that you have a pulling portion and you have an anchoring portion. So I made it so that even no matter what direction you're in, it's all lifting and anchoring at the same time. And we can kind of get as much into techniques as you want to, but many of the other companies were using a lifting thread and then trying to anchor it with an anchoring thread on top of that. And so I kind of
Combine that.
Exactly.
That's so interesting. So I too have tried threads, every single kind. And if you're a subscriber to our Modern Aesthetic Theory and Artistry online course, you can see a video for each and every thread company out there. But we haven't done that one. We'll have to try that. But we have tried, of course, Mint, PDO Lift, the Benev threads. There's so many on the market, so I think that leads to both patient confusion and injector confusion as well.
Of course.
So I also think that there's been some bad press about threads and bad research published. So just for full transparency, I'll be the devil's advocate.
Sure, go for it.
Being a surgeon, typically, like they say that threads don't have longevity. I tell my patients, they'll last you about 6 to 8 months. 8 months is maybe the outset. And I'm just curious what you tell your patients as far as expectation setting.
I think that's an amazing question, and there's so much to that. So as far as longevity is concerned, I think we have to put everything in its proper perspective. You should not market it like a facelift. It is not a facelift.
And unfortunately, patients have this idea
Yes.
that it is going to be lifting.
And I think it's the messaging.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Because we call it a thread lift.
yes, it's a thread lift, but we also say,
Liquid facelift with fillers.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Those
There's
terms
a
are
lot
used.
of different terms. There's a lot of nomenclature out there. So I think that you have to be very specific. So when we're talking about something like a neurotoxin, a Botox, a Dysport, or whatever, we know, and it's very reasonable, that it's going to last you anywhere from 3 to 4 months. We all agree upon that, right? And then we talk about fillers. We know that that's going to last anywhere from maybe 6 months, maybe a year. It depends on. But dose equals duration. So if I put 4 threads in your face, I don't have any anchoring method. Yeah, I can depend that maybe it lasts 3 months, but if I'm putting 30 threads in your face, I'm reverse vectoring, I'm anchoring.
30 threads,
Yeah,
you're putting 30
yeah,
30 anchoring
yes.
threads. Okay, so there are
There's different techniques,
threads.
there's a different game out
There are
there.
threads that are made of dissolvable ingredients that stimulate a little tiny bit of collagen production. We call those the PDO threads.
Yes.
And then there are threads that do not have PDO and are not as stimulating.
PLA and all that, yeah.
Yes, they're made of many different ingredients. So what are the kind that you're recommending?
I prefer the PDO because it has more tensile strength. I've tried them all. I think for ease of use when you're talking about, there are other companies out there where it's more of a needle and thread. So there's that, there's, like you said, there's PLLA, so there's so many different types. Again, I think the important thing is, like you said, you mentioned that you have a great, I've taken your training online. So I think you have a great training. Yes, of course. I've been a subscriber.
Yeah.
So you learn from everybody. If you're not learning, you're not growing.
Yeah.
I think we have to understand what product you're using. It's just like when you have filler, you have so many different types of fillers that do a different function. And you have to know how to use it. If I put one filler and put it all over your face, how long can I expect the results to last? Not very long, because dose equals duration. And also where you're placing it. Are you superficial? Are you deep?
Right.
Are you, where are
layer
you?
it.
Exactly. Are you in the muscle? Are you in the wrong place? Your right place? All these different things. Threads are no different.
Yeah.
You have to be in the sub-Q. You have to use enough product, and you have to make sure that you're anchoring appropriately and that you have the right candidate. If you have someone that their neck is, I hate to say the word gobbly, but if their neck is full, their jowls are full, very heavy face, a lot of heavy fat pads, that they are a surgical candidate, and you need to say so. I think the mistake is, you hear a lot of like, oh, threads don't last. Well, they're meant to be an interim. So when
Yeah,
they're
they're not meant
ready,
to last. I almost tell people that they're kind of like, I only do threads when someone's had adequate volume replacement. So
Yes.
we've recreated the natural youthful fat pads, and we've
and
done max.
neurotoxin, please.
Neurotoxin
Upper
everywhere.
and lower.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then they have that little tiny bit of laxity that you just want to Velcro back a little.
Exactly.
And then it'll last for a short amount of time, but a lot of ladies are okay with that idea. If they
discuss it,
understand,
yes. And not just that.
that you're going to
Believe
be
it or
doing them
not,
repeatedly.
Yeah, and not just that. Believe it or not, I've had patients who've had a facelift,
Yes.
and they're in my office a year later saying, I'm just really bothered.
Oh, I
by
fully believe it. So many women who go through
Yes.
facelift surgery, and I'm a facelift surgeon, they don't want to do another surgery right off the bat. It's a whole process, and like they've mentally psyched themselves up. And I tell everybody, wait till at least 5 or 10 years for your next
Yes.
facelift. So an interim thing like a collagen stimulator or a
Definitely.
thread is a great idea if you're not ready for the knife.
And if you speak to most Korean surgeons, they will routinely do a facelift and a thread lift at the same time,
Yes.
because it'll have more longevity. So they're not exclusive. I think the idea people think, and I think that the reasons why plastic surgeons are so turned off, is they think that the pitch is it's going to replace a facelift.
Yeah.
It's not meant to replace a facelift.
It isn't. But then there are threads too that can be anchored. So one concept is a thread that pulls up loosely and sits with like little pegs or, barbs that anchor.
The endotines, is that what you're discussing?
Endotines, yeah. And the other concept is actually doing a suture suspension cheekless, which I used to do in the office too, where you put a
In the SMAS and
double
the DTF.
barb suture through the cheek zygomatic fat
That's a
and
big
anchor
thing,
it
I
up to
think,
the deep
yeah.
temporal fascia through a little tiny opening and sew it tight.
Yeah.
So then you have a knot with a non-dissolvable fiber that's going to stay.
And
so
you're
I
also
love that
anchoring
cheek
it
suspension
on
lift.
the DTF as well.
It's
There's so
anchored,
yes, so it's a
anchored on the
different
deep
deal.
temporal fascia, and that fascia is like wood. It doesn't
Correct.
move, and it stays there. And I have patients who've had 25 years of great results from a cheek suture suspension lift.
Yeah.
You'd be
And that's
surprised.
actually where we are. If you're doing, if you're anchoring, that's where I'm anchoring. I'm anchoring in the DTF. Now it's
Yeah.
not as good as suturing it in the
Yeah,
DTF.
tying the knot, but
Obviously,
it's
but
pretty
yeah.
good. Pretty good. So, but then I think that threads are hard for patients too because you swell a lot. There's quite a bit of
Can
downtime,
be.
especially if you're putting like 30 threads. My God. And then what if you get little, etchings in the skin or where the skin is tethered? I'm
Yeah.
sure having your level of experience, you've seen everything and
I've seen everything.
dealt with everything
Yeah.
because when you operate a lot, you do a lot.
Of course.
You
Yeah.
see a lot. So, what are your solutions for that, and how do
Well,
you avoid getting into trouble doing that?
I think that's a great question. One of the things that Dr. Kirby and I will teach is called pinch anatomy. And it just puts you in the right plane very quickly. So it allows you, just like anything else, like injectables, surgery, I'm sure, I'm not a surgeon, but of course, when you're teaching other surgeons, I'm sure you're telling them the pitfalls to not fall into. It's the same thing with threads. It's just education. You have to be educated. The pinch anatomy allows you to get into the superficial fat pad depending on the level of the depth of your pinch. It allows you to be a little bit deeper, a little more superficial, flirt with a SMAS, not, be in the right plane. All those things make a difference, then get you out of trouble. The number one thing that I think that is significant with threads is that's mostly what you see. It's superficial placement, and
yeah.
that's what bothers people the most. But
And that's bad technique.
Yeah.
Don't blame the thread.
yeah, don't be a thread hater.
Don't be a thread hater.
Don't be a thread hater.
I mean, we all have different levels of skills, and there's no way on the planet I would let anyone put a thread in my face other than someone who has 10 years of thread experience. No way. Like, you just have to ask those hard questions when you're
Definitely.
seeing someone. There was a summer where we had so many thread patients come in. Someplace in LA was doing I don't know what. But
We won't say.
we won't say, but so many, puckered, tethered, irregular problems, and then patients are sweet. They just wait it out and they don't complain, and I'm like, go back, talk to them.
Yeah.
It's you have to see someone who has experience to avoid these problems.
Definitely, yeah. The good news about threads is, yes, they can be pesky if it's a problem. Usually you can
You
zip
can
it
reverse
out.
them.
Yeah, you can zip it off, meaning like if it's tethered to just kind of too superficially, sometimes you can just what we
Yeah.
call unzip them. But they don't cause blindness, which is really great.
When you put it that way, yes, a little quicker. Also, if your provider is not, if they just brush you off and say, well, I can't do anything with threads this place, that's a bad sign. Everyone who places threads knows how to reverse.
Yes.
Open, grab, pull it out, do all the
Definitely.
things. So yeah, we can, and if they can't, it means something. It means that they don't know what they're doing as much.
Dr. Creamy actually made this little tool. He calls it the Thread Mate, and it really helps you pick out the
The
thread.
nerve hook, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that is a really great tool, but I agree with you wholeheartedly that if you cannot fix any problems, you're probably not doing enough threads. You haven't learned to the capacity that will allow you to really execute, because you got to be
Yeah.
able to.
Don't start a procedure unless
Yes.
you're willing to learn how to treat the complications of it.
Correct. It's just
Yeah.
like filler. You
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
have a protocol. If you see an
Conclusion.
aversion, 100%. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Are you worried about this new generation of injectors that are jumping on board with threads and giving your field a bad name? I'm sorry.
I say yes and no, because most practitioners, because you train a lot, I think most practitioners are humble enough to know when they need more training.
Yeah.
I think the problem is the bad press. It's sort of people speaking on threads. I would not recommend threads. I would not do this, or I hate. You even got some even have filler haters.
Yeah.
And in most of it, it's just misinformation. You know, and I know.
Yeah.
A facelift is a wonderful thing, but in the wrong hand, it can be a horrible thing,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Nerve damage and all these kind of things, but we don't talk about, we never would say like, because this one person had a bad experience, we just don't do a facelift. I would never say that.
I think a lot of people on social media are making things seem very black and white to the consumer.
Correct.
Like I'm hearing so many patients, they're coming in and saying, well, can I never do filler? Can I ever do a biostimulator? Or I don't think I want those because I want to get a facelift later in life.
Yes.
And for threads too, that
Well, they
whole
talk about that with
concept.
other biostimulators. They're like, you
Yes.
shouldn't do it if you want a facelift. How do you feel about that?
No, I feel that's incorrect. We've been doing facelifts for 50 years. Fillers have been around for 20 years. PLA and Sculptra has been around for 25 years. Why is it just in the last 1 year we're hearing squeakiness about difficulty lifting flaps with biostimulators? It's because people have got up stage and they're going to talk about little, the things they see, but unfortunately they talk in an inflammatory, very black and white way
Controversial.
that looks so controversial, and it's giving consumer confusion, injector confusion, and this has been like facelifts and deep plane lifts have gone on for 70 years, 60 years. So this is not a new problem. In the last 1 year, biostimulators are to be totally avoided, and because fillers are bad. Like,
Yes.
please, honey, please,
Baby, please. Baby, please.
honey, please. They've been around. These things have been around, and a good surgeon knows that. And like anything else, if my patient's had a skin cancer or fibrosis, I can work around it.
That's
Someone's
so good.
had bad sun damage, we can work. If they've had threads, we dissect them out.
Yeah.
We've had revision surgeries, we can deal with it.
Yes.
So we can deal with it. We don't have to frighten
No.
our aesthetic audience. And
100%.
also,
Yeah.
I'm not ready to go have a facelift. I'm going to do a few things. Get ready.
I'm going to do a lot of things.
I'm going to do a few maintenance building things, and I frankly would like a patient to have denser, thicker, nice collagenized skin and dermis coming into surgery.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think it's very true, like it's not all black and white. You're not going to say exactly, you said, you're going to get a nerve injury if you do a facelift. Don't ever do a facelift.
Yeah, no, you never say that. And people get secondary facelifts.
Yeah.
They get 3 facelifts in their
Oh
lifetime.
yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what
I
mean?
don't hear them saying don't do that
Don't do that,
revision
causes a
because
lot of
there's
scar
thick
tissue.
scarring and it's very hard to raise a flap.
What
No.
a rhinoplasty.
Oh my gosh.
Multiple
Yeah.
of those.
I think the critical, they are bringing up some valid points. Like you
Yeah.
can't take a patient right from threads to surgery a month later.
No,
or
1
right
year.
from collagen
1
stimulators
year.
or fillers. Right, wait a year because
Wait a year.
all of that inflammation from being poked is going to be there when you lift the
Definitely.
flap. When we do rhinoplasty, it's definitely 6 to 12 months before I will even think of touching your nose again.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, I tell patients that all the time. If you're considering having a facelift, that within 1 year, just don't do threads.
Exactly.
Because you need to make sure that you have,
Save that towards
Yeah.
your surgery
But
budget.
if you know that you like, I want to try and stave off a facelift, maybe a year or so, then you can have a thread lift. It's not a problem.
Exactly. Are there any exciting techniques for the neck?
Oh, the neck is like, I always call the neck a journey. There's a book, I forgot who wrote it, was on Oprah Winfrey, so it's called I Hate My Neck.
Really?
Yes. The neck is one of the hardest things because, as you know,
That's a good book title. I would read that book.
it's so difficult to treat the neck. I actually don't think that threads are the best solution for neck. Now, you can straighten out the jawline, I call it the snatch jawline. You can straighten it out, and it does help the upper neck, but the neck proper, I really think, needs a biostimulator or a neck lift.
Yeah.
I think
It's
it
a
needs
challenging
multiple modalities. It's not
Yeah.
going to be, it's going to be a journey. So I think it needs biostimulator. I think it needs neurotoxin. I think it needs for you to make sure that you've, approximated this tissue, the jowls and stuff before you start attacking the neck.
Right. That's awesome.
And lasers, and there's so many different things.
Biostimulators actually have been pretty game changing for the neck because that crepe textural change really improves significantly when I do a hyperdilute radius wash
Yes,
there.
yes.
I also love Sculptra for the neck.
I do too.
And the décolleté, I love Sculptra
Love it,
the best actually.
I agree.
And so I'm a big fan of both products. That's another dilemma, like you have to, the companies out there really want you to stand on one stage or the other, and I'm like, no, I love them both.
Yeah.
We have to learn, you have to have everything in your palette to treat every skin and
Yes.
every responding type. I'm a big fan.
Definitely.
Well, tell me a little bit about your tips as a boss girl entrepreneur. You built a brand, you built a business.
I think when, like you, because I meet you in many meetings and I can see your passion for what you do, and you just have to love what you do, and I do. I love my life. I love my life.
3 kids.
Yes.
Amazing.
I have one, and I hate to say it.
No, say it.
I have
We
one.
have to own our age because we're role models for women younger and women our age and women older than us.
I have one in medical school, and I have another in college, and I still have a baby girl. She's 13.
Aw,
So I have one girl. So
That's
she's the love of my
amazing.
life.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And how did you balance it all? We both make it look like we're having the best time on stage and we're doing it all. But you guys don't see like the 10 years of sleepless nights and emails and
Yeah.
feeling bad about not being room mom and going on field trips and all that. Did you go through that?
I think it's kind of funny because I'm a single mom, so I have really played the role of mom and dad to my kids, and it's kind of funny, all the kids, especially if it's like stay-at-home moms, when it comes time to like room mom and they're baking the cookies and they've got like their faces, all the children's faces on the cookies, and I bought the Costco cookies, here you go, kids. But I think that you just don't be so hard on yourself that you couldn't make the homemade cookies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my kids have a beautiful life. They're all, they're all beautiful people. And for me, the most important thing is that they're good humans. They're good citizens. And that's what I focus on. I don't focus on so much that I couldn't, make the 6-course meal or whatever. I do have help at home, which is really, I call her my wife. I don't swing that way. But yeah.
We need a work wife and we need a home
yes,
helper. I always tell people when you have young kids, you need to clone yourself. Do not have any, do not hold back. Do not hold back. Because I would always feel guilty about hiring. Like you need a helper to help clean the house. Because you cannot come home at 8 o'clock at night and do laundry and you'll be dead. You'll just die
early. You just
early.
don't have anything to give to the kids. So I just made sure that all those, and I feel blessed that I can do that.
And you need a tutor.
Yes, you need a tutor. You need a priest.
You need a grandma. You need a grandma in the picture, and you need a good next door neighbor.
Definitely.
I can't tell you how to get and a piano teacher. And Jesus, oh God knows of so many things.
So many things, yeah.
So I think our message is build yourself a fortress of little mini you clones that help you do all the things
that make it work for you, and also make sure that you take care of yourself, because I think there's sometimes this messaging like you have to give everything to your kids, and it's okay to reserve a little something for yourself so that you can keep your sanity. I make sure that I keep up my beauty treatments, that if I want to go have a massage or I have a little vacation or whatever, that I do those things so that I have enough fuel to give to them.
Yeah, it's so important. I think in some ways we raise very independent children that way, because also they need space to try and function on their own.
My 13-year-old books her own flights for her fencing tournament.
Oh my God, mine too. My youngest daughter had to write all the checks for Girl Scouts. I'm gonna write the check, I'll sign it.
That's right.
You know what? You have to teach these things.
Definitely.
There's too much hand holding going on in the world today, and we think about how we grew up.
Yeah.
Nobody held our hands. My parents
just played outside and no one knew where you were.
You did.
You had no phone.
Somewhere in the neighborhood. I literally walked home with the house key around my neck on it.
Same.
Yeah, you did.
Same.
We were
Latchkey kids.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we just had the best time. And we did not resent our mom for working. We
No.
loved her. We admired her.
Yeah.
Thank goodness she worked hard, because then we knew what we could do.
Yeah.
What are you doing in biohacking? Are you taking good supplements? Are you a cold plunger?
Gosh, that is
Are you into exosomes?
That is the buzzword, isn't it? So I think peptides, injectable peptides, are amazing.
Are you taking any?
Yes.
Which ones? Oh my gosh, tell.
So many.
Pray tell. That's why you look 27.
I think it's important to do your supplements too. So like NAD, glutathione. I will take a little bit of either semaglutide, or I like trizepatide as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we all have a little bit of insulin resistance that is underlying. There's also BP 157. So for muscle, you can take a little bit of testosterone as well. So
These things are hard to find. Do you have a good source in California?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Dare we say, or you'll tell me later in my ear? Okay. It's very hard to find. You have to literally scour the planet, even to just get Mounjaro or trizepatide. But I think that is important as we age.
And exercise. And meditate.
Exercise is the most important.
Yeah, exercise, meditate, and keep your mind. I really think that the way you keep your mind, the housekeeping in your mind, is extremely important. If you tell yourself negative things, negative self-talk, it just manifests in your body. I think it's extremely important how you think. make sure that you are housekeeping in that brain of yours, taking control of your thoughts.
So true.
Yeah.
I mean, when you show up, you have to turn on the positive mindset.
Yes, always self-talk.
Yeah, you have to, and we can manifest these little dreams and things that we believe in ourselves. They actually do happen.
I just believe so as a man thinketh, so is he.
Yeah. So true. It's for women, especially.
Definitely.
And we're kind of buried in this world that's very. We're in an industry that's all women, and our women patients surround us, and then we go to meetings and things where it's all men. Men run industry, men run panels, men are board of directors, men do the research. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, how are we going to level that playing field a little bit?
I think exactly what we're doing. Getting the education out and doing and shining. Like, one of the things I admire about you so much is that you really shine in what you do. And I think people see that. They see your light and they're attracted to it. And because of your position, you are a female, you're an ethnic female. And I think people are saying, hey, if she can do that, I can do that, or I can do some form of that.
Yeah.
And I think we just, by us doing our best, and I love that we're also trainers too, because we take on other people and we show them kind of how this is how I would do it. Now they can take it and run with it and do whatever they will, but I think that's how you kind of get the message out, is that, hey, you can be a bad biatch.
Exactly. I think you're right. And people entering into aesthetics right now in this day and age have so many tools at their fingertips to learn and learn correctly. Like, you and I had to struggle. We invented this process. No one taught us. There was no trainings, zero.
When it came to threads, I just had to piecemeal. Like, I took so many trainings and then I just piecemealed it, what I've worked, and just played with it. And sure, I made lots of mistakes.
Yeah.
Lots of mistakes.
Yeah, along the way. It takes 20 years to be an overnight success, we can tell you that. Right? That's a very common quote, but it's so true, because the struggle is real. So I just want to encourage you guys, you don't have a ton of followers, you don't have a ton of experience, you don't have a ton of patience yet.
Yeah.
It will come, and enjoy don't you think you should enjoy the slow part of the ramp up, because you can develop.
Don't despise small beginnings.
Yes.
Just do you. Whatever it is that you love doing, that's who people are going to be attracted to. So if you like neurotoxins, you like lasers, or you like to talk about fitness, or whatever it is, your niche, hit on that, and there's an audience for that, and they will love it. They will love you.
Exactly. Yeah, just be you. It's so hard, and yet it's so easy.
Yes.
That's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
And don't be shy. Don't be shy. You gotta
Don't be shy.
If you want a spot at the table, you have to actually raise your hand and step up and show up to the table.
You have not, because you asked not.
Oh my God, you're so full of good little quotes. I'm gonna have to hang out with you more often. When we go to Vegas, we're going to the aesthetic show.
Baby.
We'll see everybody there in a few weeks.
You haven't seen Dr. K
show.
dance. She can
Lord.
shake a tail feather.
We're gonna have a blast, but I can't thank you enough for coming onto the
for having me.
podcast.
Thank you for
You're
having me.
delightful, super smart, do the whole
Thank you.
package. Where can everyone find you and reach out?
I have so many. Francine Queen of Threads on IG. I'm also on TikTok and YouTube, and I have an office in Newport Beach and Rodeo Drive.
That's right, we did a TikTok
Yes,
together.
we did.
Okay, let's
Have to
plan
do
another
another.
one. Let's
Yes.
plan another. You pick a tune and
Okay.
I'll learn the dance steps.
All right.
That's
Oh,
it
God.
for now, guys. Don't forget to find me on my Instagram. It's Beauty by Dr. K, DRKAY, and our website is the same. It's beautybydrk.com. That's where you can find our amazing supplement line. We have beauty greens, my favorite, internal radiance, beauty collagen, all the things for looking your best to maintain like we do. Love you guys. Stay beautiful. Mwah.